over to the
Okay.
Good morning or afternoon. Welcome everyone to today's technical webinar provided by USTtraining.com. Today I'm really excited to have John with us today. John with JetTrac is going to talk about JetTrac Gas Station, simplifying UST walkthrough inspections with your smartphone. We're going to be kind of transporting everyone out of the clipboard and into the modern digital age of technology. This webinar is being recorded. We'll make it available on YouTube afterwards. If you haven't already figured it out, type in who you are and where you're with on the Q&A feature, and we will be answering questions that way today. John, jump in and take it away. Introduce yourself, and let's hear what we have to say today.
Hi, everybody. Thanks very much. I'm John Daintree with ProTechnology, and we're going to jump into this webinar. So you should be seeing on the screen that really what I'm going to talk about today is kind of thank you all for coming, obviously, and then I'll do a quick introduction. We'll talk a little bit about paper solutions because most people are doing their walkthrough, their A and B operator walkthroughs on paper. Today, we'll talk a little bit about kind of what's the problems that are associated with paper a lot of the time. Then we'll introduce you to our JetTrac Gas Station solution, which is a digital solution that allows you to do those walkthroughs using a smartphone. We'll do a demonstration to show you how the solution works a little bit. And then we'll do a comparison between paper and digital, open it up for questions and answers, and kind of tell you about a nice promotion we're running with the UST Training.com folks. All right. Introductions. So most of you know Ben and his experience, vast experience in the UST industry, but I think we did invite a couple of ProTechnology folks as well, some of our prospects and base. So just he can give you a far better bio of himself, but Ben's been around there. It doesn't look it, I know, but he's been around the industry for about almost 40 years in the UST industry with vast experience from tank removals, UST tank removals to UST leak cleanup, and in the education and training field. He ran the UST leak prevention program in Alaska at the turn of the century. 1995 from 95 to the early 2000s, and then he did the first AB operator training class in Oregon, I think in around 2003, and he's been doing A, B, and C operator training in the US and the US territories ever since. He's probably trained more people in the US than anyone else on the planet or anyone else in the US on A, B, and C operator training. And he also has a fantastic series called Tank Savvy Minute on YouTube, which is, if you haven't seen it, you really should take a look. It's excellent. I learned more than I needed to know about UST inspections and how they work, and that coming into this industry as a technology guy that didn't know much about it, that's where I learned everything about it. So Ben's great, and check out that YouTube series. His motto is helping protect the nation's drinking water supply one tank at a time. So,
and John, we met about 10 years ago. Has it been 10 years when we first crossed paths at a trade show?
It's about 10, 11 years ago. Yeah, I do get into that. Yeah, so we've met, yeah, when we got into this, and I'll touch on that when I give a little intro on myself. But
okay.
visit USTtraining.com to check out all the firsts that Ben has had in this UST industry. You'll be surprised. It's pretty impressive. And his list of customers is also who's who in the UST industry. So check out Ben. All right, a little bit about myself. I was born and educated in South Africa and have lived and worked in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and before coming to the US. I always joke that when they find out about me, I have to keep moving on. They just haven't figured me out here in the US. Yeah. Anyway, I joined ProTechnology in 2002 and have been in technology development and sales for over 35 years. I started with National Cash Register in South Africa, then worked for a company called Central Computer Systems in the UK, then Wang Computers back in the day in Australia and New Zealand. And when I came to the US in 1994, I started a little company called Office Web that was using this exciting new technology called the internet. Back in that time, and we developed websites and workflow automation. From there, I ran the Western region for a company called More Document Solutions, or More Business Forms, or More America. They kept changing their name. I ran the Technology Solutions division in the Western region, and More owned 40% of a company called JetForm out of Canada, and JetForm was purchased by Adobe. And ProTechnology at the time was a JetForm partner, and then they became an Adobe National Solutions partner. And that's how I met ProTechnology and came to join them in 2002. And ProTechnology specializes, they're known as document automation specialists. They've been around for about 30 years. And as Ben was saying, about 11 years ago, we developed a solution for a UST inspection service provider, JetTrac Field Service for UST. We developed that solution, and it did so well that we kind of started selling it to other UST service providers, and that's how I met Ben, and the rest is history, I suppose. But as I mentioned above, Ben has always been an innovator in the UST industry. As I said, look at his website, you'll see all the firsts. And so we partnered with Ben to introduce this JetTrac Gas Station, a digital solution for A/B operator inspections that to all his customers and students and you guys out there. So we're excited to talk about that. All right. So let's talk a little bit about paper and what the problem with paper is. Typically, most UST A/B inspections walkthrough inspections are done on paper with a clipboard and a pen. And the big issue is that the paper often gets lost. It gets filled in, stuck somewhere, and goes missing. It gets filled in, put into the 3-ring binder that you keep in the office, and the binder goes missing. Somebody takes it out to do the inspection, fills it in. The phone rings, or a customer walks up, he puts it down, and now the binder's gone missing. So that's a problem. But even if it doesn't go missing, sometimes you can't read the handwriting of the guy that filled it in with a pen, or he spilt his coffee on it as he came back in before he put it in the binder, dried it off and put it in, and that coffee stain now is blocking some of the important information. So there's some issues with paper systems. With a paper system, there's really no reminders. So you're not reminded to do an inspection daily, weekly, monthly, depending what it is in your neck of the woods. So there's no tracking of whether the inspection's done and who's done it unless somebody's really looking in that binder.
And John, if I may for a minute, I mean, I remember I did an audit for a large convenience store chain in California years ago. One thing we noticed was that the lack of standardization for answers in a field, like suddenly everything was an essay. And so when you looked at hundreds of reports together, you couldn't make sense of them because the form author intuited what choices there were, but the choices weren't there, right? So that not having standardized choice answers also makes it complex if you want to do reporting as well.
Certainly, that's definitely a big part of it. Anyway, so the bottom line with a paper system, there's a compliance risk. You're often not audit ready. If you're being audited, you can't find the paper, and people spend lots of time trying to catch up and fill in pieces of paper, and not being audit ready can lead to citations and fines and increased scrutiny by the regulatory agencies. Kind of you get your credibility or your reputation can get a little bit damaged. But not only that, if you're not doing the inspections, it's not safe. There's risk of failure and things like that. So and all of this can increase your operating costs. So let's talk a little about the JetTrac Gas Station solution, which is a digital solution. As I mentioned earlier, I mean, we developed a solution called JetTrac Field Service for UST for our gas station, for our UST service providers, the guys that do the monthly, the annuals, the quarterlies, the 5 years. We developed a solution for them that made it very easy for them to do those inspections. And one of those those UST operators came to us and said, hey, we've got all these gas station guys in California that are struggling with their daily, weekly, and monthlies. Can we come up with some kind of solution that makes it easier for them? And that's what we did. That's why we developed the JetTrac Gas Station solution. It includes all the PEI forms that PEI has for AB operator inspection. It includes all the state forms in your state. We worked with Ben, and Ben with his training classes offers PDF forms that you can print and use, paper forms. We've taken all of those forms and we've adapted them to work with our JetTrac Gas Station solution to make it a whole lot easier for you to do your A and B UST operator walkthroughs. We can also add custom forms. If you're doing something custom, something a little different, we can add those forms. And we've even had customers add things like cigarette counts and lottery ticket sales reports, because they say, hey, we've got used to using the system, let's add that too. So we can do that. But the bottom line is the inspection can be done from any smartphone or tablet or laptop if you want, but typically it's done just on a smartphone. You can dispatch the inspection out to your gas station manager or who's at the gas station if you want to, but typically we use a QR code that scans. You scan the QR code, it pops this inspection gathering interface up on your smartphone. It's pre-populated with all the information so it saves a lot of time. You don't have to fill in stuff like the address and the gas station number and things like that. We can pre-populate it with all that information. With some of our customers, we'll pre-populate it with information from the last inspection. They say it's easier to just look at the last inspection data and say, yes, it's still the same, or change it if it's not. With a lot of our customers, they say, no, they don't want that. They want their guys to, start from scratch every time, but we can adapt the system to work the way that you want to work. We can include things like calculations and required fields and validation. So just make it easier and quicker and make sure that all the right, or like Ben was saying, standardized answers. Have a drop down that has the answers. You pick the answer so that everybody knows it's pretty standardized. It's not open for interpretation, as you were mentioning earlier, Ben. And you can also get a signature if you have to sign it, or take a photograph. If there's a deficiency or something wrong, you can take a photo and we can use that photo to escalate it to head office or to the person that does the repair and say, hey, we marked that there was a deficiency, we've taken a photo, and then that will trigger an automated escalation workflow that sends an email to somebody that says, hey, there's a problem with this particular part or this particular part of the inspection, get somebody out there to repair it. We can also send the reminders. If it's a monthly and it hasn't been done by the 28th of the month, the store manager gets a reminder that says, hey, you haven't done this inspection. Please make sure it gets done. If it's not done by the 30th, somebody at head office gets an email saying, hey, store 1234 hasn't done their monthly inspection. Please make sure they do it. That type of thing. So there's accountability and tracking and make sure you stay compliant. And then that final document package is uploaded into a content management system, a document management system. We typically use Google Drive because it's very inexpensive and easy. It's kind of free for most people until you get to a certain point. But if you're using something like Documentum or FileBound or M-Files, we can upload it there. So it's always in the cloud, available for you anytime when you need to get to it. And I know at some gas stations and some states, you have to have a paper form in a 3-ring binder. Well, if it's in the cloud, you can print it out, put it in the binder, it's there. But if it goes missing, you don't have to start from scratch and try and scramble again. You can very quickly just go and print out the month that you need and put it in the binder. So
I really like the idea. If you can go back for a second, I really like the idea of pre-populating site information. I think of every time I go to the doctor and they give you like a blank clipboard to fill out.
Exactly.
It's like, why wouldn't you just hand me a thing and say, "Is all this correct?" And yeah, so I really like the forward
Or
thinking of
at least have your name, address, and
exactly
the stuff that they've got. At least populate
stuff
that, and
that
then
they've
ask
done.
for the rest of. Yeah, I agree, and that's why these digital solutions are so much easier and quicker to complete.
And something I was just thinking too, sorry, John, we go back for a second.
No
Something I was
problem.
just thinking was that when we provide AB operator training, we go through what all these fields are on your particular state form. So, in a way, the AB course is kind of training for the ABs who then can, answer any. So, say if you got a store clerk out there filling out one of these forms, they can go back to their supervisor and just to make sure they know exactly what it is they're looking at. Okay, what is a spill bucket? Things of that nature.
Well, yeah, on that point, we can also, with those escalation workflows, you can say, okay, once you've filled in the report, you submit it. I need somebody at head office, somebody, the manager. He gets that email, he can quickly look through it and go, hey, you left this piece out, or what are you trying to, so yes, we can build in a review and approval kind of workflow quite easily to this, if that's what you want to do.
Great, thank you.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to just jump out of this and go quickly to here and kind of give you an overview and of the architecture of the solution and how it works. So the JetTrac Gas Station is a server in the cloud, and we will populate it with all your information about your gas station or gas stations. If there's if you want to, we can give you the administrative tools and you can do it yourself, but typically we'll do that for you. As I was mentioning earlier, you can, if you wanted to, somebody at head office can dispatch out the 30-day walkthrough on the 28th of every month. And there's a system that allows you to quickly go in, fill in all the information you need and hit submit. And then that will then email it to the gas station manager and even add something into his calendar that hey, you've got to do your 30-day appointment today. And then the head office can see all of that in their shared calendar and see what they've got set. But typically we put a QR code like this taped to the binder that used to hold the paper forms, or still does hold the paper forms once you print them out, or in the break room or on the counter, and they'll just scan the QR code, and that will very quickly open up the form that they're trying to do and allow them to, on their smartphone, very quickly go and do that inspection and submit it. As I was saying, once you either scan the QR code or do the dispatch, JetTrac pre-populates with all the information we know for that particular store. That's, we've got it from the QR code or from what you picked in the dispatch. So we'll do all that pre-populating we were talking about. And then in the field, you just open that and you just go through and you just take care of it very quickly on the phone and hit submit. And we can then kick off that workflow, generate the document package, put it into Google Drive or some kind of document management system, and populate the PDF of the PEI form or the state form. So that's ready to go. Having said that, if your operators are used to filling in a form and they prefer to fill in a form, we can make that available. Instead of having that interface, we can give you the form. They know how to fill it in. We can give you a digital fillable PDF. They can fill it in and hit submit, and we can do the same thing.
And I know we have a couple of inspectors on the line. I would imagine some states would either require or prefer to see the state form. I personally like, the mobile format a little bit better, but I know that we need to be sensitive to certain states either, again, require or would prefer to see their particular state form or the PEI form.
We can do it either way. And even if you're using the mobile interface to complete the form, we are populating that PDF, that state form or that PEI form in the background. So that is what you show the auditor or the state regulator. We do populate that from that interface.
That's great.
All right. So once once it's filled in, as I said, we can send it down some kind of workflow. If we need a manager to approve it or someone at head office to review it before they sign off on it, we can do that. And then we have all the data. We have this data. We can stick it up into Google Drive, and you can quickly find it when you need it. We can name it what we need to, so you can easily search for it if you need to find those reports. You can print it out and put it in the binder, because I know some states, and some counties anyway, they always want the paper form printed out and in the binder in the office. So you can definitely do that. It's just that if it goes missing, you've got a backup online that you can very quickly get. We also have all that data that we can use either as XML or CSV and feed some other system if you doing other monitoring. And then there's always a log that kind of gives us, hey, this form hasn't been returned, this inspection wasn't done. So we're tracking it, we're monitoring it, so we can very quickly see and send reminders if we haven't received that inspection for this month or for this week or for on that day. So there's a tracking system and accountability in a digital solution. Okay, so let's go back to here, and I'm just going to go back into this one more time. Oops, gone all the way back. Doesn't, yeah. All right, so now we're going to jump in and do a quick, kind of give you a live demo of this solution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my iPhone over here, and I'm going to use this program we call Air Server that shares what is happening on my iPhone. So I am using an iPhone. I'm going to share it with my laptop. And as you can see, it is an iPhone. Okay, and then I'm going to go to this, the menu thing there. I got to move that out the way.
Yeah, which tab are you in, right?
Yeah, with Zoom, the little menu goodie. All right, I'm going to open this up. And so this is kind of the QR codes we would use that would be at all of these facilities that could very easily
Yep, pretty cool.
You can very quickly scan. So just before I do that, I'm just going to show you something here with where's my, there's the California one. Okay, so I'm just going to go over here and just show you. I'm going to go into Google Drive, and here's the one from yesterday. Oh, and if I open that up, there we go. Sorry, slow internet. You can see that there's the form. Monday for this week, Monday and Tuesday have already been done. So if I go back here and I now bring up Air Server again and move it over there, so we can let's make this a little narrower. There we go. Move it over there. Sorry, my phone closes and it drops the connection, so I've got to open that up again. And there we go. So if I go to my camera and
I see what you're doing, yeah.
Are you seeing this, Ben?
Yep, yep.
Okay, and I just click on that QR code. It will very quickly open up the date, and as you can see, it's pre-populated with today's date. If there was any other information about the store, we could have pre-populated that. And I'm just going to quickly go through and say, yes, I did my inspection. Just so that we have a nice pattern, I'm going to put some fails in it, but typically it would all be checks. But just so that you can see that the pattern I put in is for today, this could be automatically put in, or you could have it entered. I'm going to add an email address, and I'm going to hit submit. And that's now going back into the JetTrac Gas Station server and is going to be monitored and run through. Because I've put an email there, I'm going to get an email showing me this form, but that could be going to my manager or supervisor or whatever, and it's going to upload into Google Drive as well. So if I go back here to Google Drive, we should in a second see something pop in there that is for today's date. It takes a minute or two. I know we're doing live demos, but there it is.
Oh,
That
there it
just
is.
dropped in. Okay. So, in a live demo, 30 seconds seems like a long time, but in reality, that's really how quickly it happens. And as I say, as I pull this up, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, today's inspection has been done. And there's that nice pattern I did with the 3 deficiencies that we had. But typically that would be all checks, but just to show you that that can very easily happen. And then if I go to my email and just hit refresh, you should see, well, you got to love live demos, which there it is, a JetTrac field inspection demo. There it is. That was from right now. I can quickly preview this or download it and save it. And I like to do this because it opens up in Acrobat, which is a little better than sometimes the preview makes things look a little weird. It opened on the other screen, but I'll slide it over. There we go. And as you can see, there's that inspection that I just put with all the dates. So just showing you kind of very briefly how the system works. Okay, let's go back. I want to go back here and go back to there. I wanted to show you one that shows how we can do an escalation. So if I put air server back on, and once again, it's my phone goes in. I should have switched off sleep mode on my phone. Okay, sorry, gotta sync it again. All right, let's go back to the camera. And sorry, things happen. That thing there, air server there, and let's scan this QR code. And this is opening this form. So let me go back here quickly. Just going to Google. Some of you will recognize this form in California, I'm sure. So that's the one from yesterday. And this form, you've got to put in. Typically, we understand that people do sections 7 to 10. They complete that, and then they go back and fill in things on, in section 3. So if I bring back my phone, if I look at section 3, it says here, if there's a no, if something has a deficiency, that's a no or not applicable in sections 7 through 9, we need to come back here and fill something in. Now, for some people, because they use sections 7, 8, and 9 first, we could put that at the top. They could go, we could set this interface up to work the way that works best for them. But for now, we've just got it the way that the form is set out. So if I go to section number 9 and underground system, if I put a no and I put a number, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, there was a problem with number 1, 2, 3, 4, then I'm supposed to go back to section 3 and put in here, sump 1, 2, 3, 4 had a problem that needs to be repaired. Please see the photograph below. Okay, and then I can go to the bottom of the form and add a photograph and take a photo, and take a photo of my backyard and use that photo. Once again, as you can see here, I'm going to email it to myself. You could have that somebody type that in because they know, because it's that deficiency, it needs to go to this person to repair, or we can have it pre-populated like I have now, and then hit submit, and off that will go. I should get two emails now, one to myself as the operator, because I did that inspection, but one should also go to head office or somebody else. It will also come to me to be escalated, because there was a no in that one field, and I think so. It should jump in. It should pop in there in a second. We'll give it a second or two, and so I'll get two emails. One that would be to your regular manager, and the other one that would go to somebody that's escalated. So there it is. It's just popped in. If I launch this quickly. There we go. We will see as I scroll down here. If I go to that section number 9, we had, sump 1, 2, 3, 4, and there was a no in that checkbox there. And if I go back to the top, there's the issue that I've spoken about, and I can scroll all the way to the bottom, and there's the photograph that I took. Okay, so if I go back here and hit refresh again. Oh, there it is. You just saw it. I hit refresh and it dropped in, but I'd already hit refresh. Sorry. So we're going to have to wait for the second for my mail to refresh.
Okay.
But sorry, all my important mails that I've got to go back and deal with. So there you can see that here's the original one that came in, which is that form that I just showed you. I won't show you it again. But if you go here to this escalation email, it says the designated operator visual report had a
okay. It
one,
puts it
two,
in the
three,
body of
there
the
was a
email. That's cool.
problem. Please see the photo attached, and we can. Sorry, too many things popping up. I can download that.
Yeah.
And save it, and take a quick look at it.
So it extracts out the problem, the thing kind of you need to highlight in the first place. That's cool.
We have control over that email. We could, in that email, we can put whatever we need to. We could put the store number. I mean, we have total control over this email. So I'm just kind of showing you. So there it is. It tells them the problem. If we go down to section 9, we should see where I wrote that in, and there should be a photo at the bottom that showed me the problem. So just kind of giving you an idea of how the system works. And I mean, I can keep going. I can show you a PDA. I can show you a PEI form, because these were both California forms. And I'm not sure how many California people we have, but let's do one more. How about that? Let's just do a PEI form that most people will recognize, because I think a lot of people use PEI forms. So if I go to the monthly PEI form, let's get air server back up over here.
And while you're doing that, for folks on the line, some states have their own dedicated monthly and annual inspection forms. A couple of states have quarterly, a couple of states have weekly. Typically, states that do not have that accept PEI RP 900, which is inspection, daily, monthly, annual inspections. And so that's kind of the default form choice for agencies that don't have their own dedicated form in a state or territory.
Perfect. Yeah. So as you can see, it's pre-populated today's date. If I needed to, I could change it because I had to go back and do yesterday's. I could do that quite easily. As you can see here, it's pre-populated with information we already know. So just like your doctor should do, Ben.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's already pre-populated with information we know. We don't want to force people to have to redo that. I'm going to say the operator training. Yeah, let's just say this operator's been trained on all of those tanks. If we go to the leak detection, we're going to pick the automatic tank gauge thing. And because of that, at the bottom, there it is. See, automatic tank gauge has just popped up there. So whichever one I picked would be there. And I'm going to pass all of those very quickly. And I'll even go to the all tanks and just do the spill kit. And let's just fail all of those, just so that we can see what it looks like on the form. All right, then I'll go to, if there was a deficiency, we could say Here's a problem with the deficiency. This is what it was, etc. Okay, just for purposes of the demonstration. So if I now go back here and go to this Google Drive, once again, it's going to take a second or two. I'll go into the PC. As you can see, we can name these things as we need. So here I've got PEI, but we have control over how we name the folders that we store things in. So you can very easily find everything. So if I go into this folder and I go to the monthly, and there it is. From today's date, I can launch that. And if you give it a second to populate, you can see the operator training. I passed all of those. The automated tank gauge, I passed all of those. And down here at the spill kit, I failed all of those. And if we go down to the deficiencies here, it's populated with, there's a problem with this deficient. This is what it was, etc. Yeah. So really, that gives you an idea of how everything kind of works. So let's go back here, and once again, it always starts halfway through. I can't be where I want to be. All right. So we've done the demonstration. Let's take a look at a bit of a comparison between a paper solution and a digital solution. Accessibility. Well, with the paper solution, typically it's only locally on site at the gas station, unless you've had to drive back to head office to make sure they get a copy, or scanned it and emailed it to them or whatever. But with the digital solution, there it is, right there. It's in the cloud. You can get to it from anywhere at any time. The risk of errors with a paper solution, we spoke about this, handwriting, everybody writes a different description rather than having a drop down that does it, so the risk of errors and omissions is pretty high, whereas with a digital solution, it's relatively low because we can have validation fields and things like that make sure that it's done. Reminders with a paper solution, no one's reminding you to do that inspection unless they've set a tickler on their phone and things like that. But with the digital solution, we can decide when we want reminders to do the inspection, how often we want them, who gets them, how we escalate if it's still not done. Very easy. Same thing with those escalations. If there is a deficiency, how do we let somebody know about that deficiency and get it repaired? With a paper system, you've got to do that manually somehow. With our solution or with the digital solution, you can set that up that the person that needs to do that repair is notified automatically. Audit readiness, well, as you know, you're always ready with the digital solution. With the paper solution, we discussed the problems that go along with finding being ready for audit sometime. And then the storage, yeah, it's stored in a binder or a filing cabinet. People put things in, one puts it under PEI forms, one puts it under UST inspections, and one puts it under monthly inspections, trying to find if it's in a filing cabinet, here we have control over how we store the things, and there's search capabilities and things like that. So finding things is very easy. And this last one, I'm going to say that it really depends on the size of your gas station, first of all. And also, this was statistic information that I searched for, so I'm relying on them. Ben backed me up and said, yes, he thinks that's about right, that with a paper system, an average to do a walkthrough is 15 to 20 minutes, and the stats say that it's half that time with a digital solution. So once again, the size of the gas station may make that vary quite a lot. Okay, so what are the benefits of using JetTrac Gas Station? It eliminates all the problems of paper that we've kind of beat over the head a bit today. All the handwriting, lost, spilling coffee on it, all that stuff. So we eliminate that. The system does include all the PEI forms, all the state forms, all the forms that Ben gives you when you take a class with UST Training. Those forms are all converted to work with our JetTrac Gas Station solution and are part of the system if you sign up. We can populate those forms with all the information we already know, making it easier and faster to complete the inspections. We can even put in things like last inspection data for certain fields or for all fields to make it easier and quicker to do. We can also make certain fields have to be completed in order to submit the form. If you try to submit that form without completing a field, it won't work. We can do validation. So I know that with some forms, you've got to put in a beginning reading and an ending reading. And we can build that in so you don't have to take your calculator out and figure out if it's within the tolerance. It just does it. We built that into the form. So you put in the beginning reading, you put in the ending reading, and it says, yes, that's within the tolerance, and it passes, or no, it's not, and it fails. We can do automatic reminders to remind you to do your inspections and track if they have been done or not. So send out escalations if they haven't been done. If there are deficiencies, as I showed you, we can send an escalation to have that deficiency repaired. We can automate that whole process. And then the final document package is put together in the way that the state wants to receive it, stored in the cloud for easy retrieval, and so that you're always audit ready. And there's a tracking. You can see, you can track what's been done, what hasn't been done. There's reminders if things aren't done. So really, it just helps ensure compliance, mitigates the risks of fines and notice of violations and of failures. I mean, if you're doing your inspections when they're supposed to be done, you should catch things before there's a failure. So keeping our drinking water safe, Ben.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then all of this, just increases the efficiency and saves time and really helps keep down your operating costs. Okay, so what are the next steps? Typically, our JetTrac gas station solution lists at $30 a month for a gas station, but we do offer discounts for multiple gas stations. And we're running, because of our partnership with Ben, we're doing a special promotion for anybody that's done or does a UST training class. And for people that are attending this webinar, we're happy to do a free trial. You can use the system free of charge for up to 6 months. Make sure it works for you. And if it does work, then you can go on and pay for it. We're confident with this solution that if you start using it, you'll love it so much that you'll start using it. So we're happy to do this offer for the UST training folks and people that were on the webinar. The way to get hold of me is to call that phone number or click on that link and fill in the form, and then I'll get hold of you. We can schedule a one-on-one demonstration or consultation about your specific needs, and get you signed up for this free trial and start using the JetTrac system.
I really like the idea of a one-on-one consultation, because I mean, everyone's got a slightly different kind of system that's out there. You've got different hardware, you've got different states, you've got different office operations, different hardware, different software. And so it would make sense to have to kind of look at the whole thing to make sure what is a good fit.
Yeah, and sometimes different counties. I know in California, that's where kind of most of we really launched this thing. In different counties, they have different forms they want, or additional forms that they need that you've got. So we can get that set up and do the custom forms. Similarly, some guys might say, hey, not only do I want to use it for the 30-day walkthrough or the daily walkthrough, depending on where they are, they may say, hey, we have to report cigarettes to the alcohol, food and tobacco, alcohol, fire and tobacco. We have to report cigarette sales. Can you help us do a inspection on a monthly basis that lets us do that count? We can create a custom form for that as well. So we can do those types of things. So yeah.
Interesting.
All right. Well, let's open it up. Did we get any questions while we've got about 12 minutes left, Ben?
Uh,
Did we get any
this would be a good
questions?
time if you have some particular questions for John to throw them out there. John, it's kind of occurring to me we're in this dilemma today because government forms are in a 8.5 by 11 mindset, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so I kind of look forward to the day when government agencies have stuff like in a in a right. I mean, it really should be.
I hear you, and that's why.
It really should be this way for everything because clipboards are kind of going away. So yeah, I'll be I'll be talking to some folks later this year about that. Maybe put a bug in there. Does anyone have any questions for John? I know we have some inspectors on the line, we have some service providers, and we have some operators. So I think there's kind of an interest from all angles there. Any questions for John? Please type them in. If it's too complicated, we could unmute you. John, where can they find you in person later this year? You've got a travel schedule coming up.
Oh yes,
Maybe talk about where they could find you in person.
we'll be at the next PI show in cheapest. It's Chicago, right?
Chicago, yeah, October. Hold on a sec here. I'll get that on the calendar here.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have a booth there at
That'll
the
be the
gas.
week of October 13th in Chicago.
Yep, we're there. We'll probably be at WPMA again next year
Okay, in
uh,
Las Vegas.
in Las Vegas.
That's
So
February.
yeah, those are the two places that I've got scheduled so far
Okay.
for USTA stuff. And just you mentioned there may be some service providers. I didn't really touch on it too much, but we do have a solution for the guys that do the quarterlies, annuals, 5 years. I mean, we have a system that really makes their lives easier. So even though I didn't show it today, that was where we started in the UST industry, was for solutions for those guys, and this JetTrac gas station came out of their need to help their customers.
And a number of service providers perform the 30-day walkthrough inspection on behalf of the client. So those service providers could also be doing
Certainly,
operator inspection forms. That's a whole market for you out there, John.
certainly, yeah, that's definitely so. You know, if you're interested in finding out more, just give me a call, please. You've got the number, or let's go back one. You can, if you, we'll make this available, but if you get that link, that you know, if you want me to give you a call, just fill that information in, and I will give you a call.
Great. And for those on the line, we are starting to fold a flyer in our study guide for our AB operator training courses. So you'll start seeing us more promoting. We think it's a great product and a great service. John and I are helping each other, grow our businesses and help operators be successful with UST compliance. I will be at the Tribal Lands Environmental Forum in Minneapolis coming up in August. I'll be at the EPA National Tanks Conference in Spokane in September, and I'll be at the PEI NAC show in Chicago this October. So I'm happy to answer any questions on behalf of John when I come across you there. I think. Well, last call for any questions. Otherwise, please take a picture of John's contact information. And thanks, John, for this presentation. It's really cool to see. I love seeing all these analog, kind of traditional, bumbling, stumbling things being digitized with some really smart solutions. I've really enjoyed working with you over the last couple of years to kind of bring this project to market. So please, yeah. So I did. Yeah. Thanks to you and your team for all the hard work you do to make these forms a lot easier to fill out.
Well, thank you, Ben, and thanks. We've always enjoyed working with you, and thank you for the innovation in the industry. I mean, you definitely are kind of out there on the leading edge, and yeah, and the training. So hopefully, we can help each other. You know,
Yeah,
you train them, and we make it easier for them to keep compliant and complete these inspections.
that's right. Keep those notice of violations down. Thanks so much, John, and thanks everyone for joining us. This will
Thanks,
be available on
everyone.
YouTube shortly.